defensively.
Yeah, we had a tough one against South Dakota this weekend. Good football team. We knew we were facing kind of a tale of two halves. We played pretty well in the first half, at least for 28 minutes of the first half, and they wound up scoring late, take a 7-6 lead at halftime, and then it was kind of downhill on both sides of the ball. The offense still moved the ball in the second half, but just couldn't capitalize on any points and had a field goal blocked. And just a little disappointing that we couldn't get off the field on defense in the second half. So it's kind of the tale of two halves.
Yeah, I guess just to start off, what can we expect to see out of Lincoln this week? With it being a smaller school, not many people are really familiar with. How do they play? What are y'all expecting?
Well, they got a lot of big-time transfers. They got a former Ohio State guy playing for them, for former North Dakota All-American running back playing for them. They got a bunch of Division I transfers running around. They are on defense. They have a lot of team speed and size. Their scheme is multiple. They're all kind of all over the place on their defensive scheme, but they're going to play a lot of man-to-man, and they're going to challenge you because they think they got, and they do. They have athletes on the field on defense. And then on offense, they have an All-American running back. They have a quarterback who is a Houston kid, runs around, throws it pretty good. He can extend the play, so that gives us a little bit of, obviously, trepidation when any quarterback that can extend the play. We need to do a good job of making sure we keep that guy in the pocket. So I think that's pretty much what you're going to see. They're multiple offensively, a lot of one back, but they do use some two back, a lot of spread sets. They do a nice job. They do a good job. I mean, they had Cal Poly down, I think it was 14-0 at one time, and up 20-7 sometime in the second quarter. So they got a good football team.
Something you talked about a couple weeks ago was trying to break through the wall. And you start off 0-3 this year, obviously not how you want to start your season. What can you say about trying to stay positive in spite of that start?
Well, one of our team goals is to go 1-0 every week, and not really worry about the last week, good or bad, and move on to the next week of preparation. And it's kind of what we're doing. The guys were in this morning at 6, and we got some stuff done. We got the film flushed out. We corrected some things, and now we're moving on to Lincoln and getting ready to roll this week. I mean, the positives, there's tons of positives coming out of the game. I mean, the fact that you take the ball, move it down the field on the first drive, and use 12 minutes on the clock, and you're converting third downs and fourth downs. I think there's some real positives there in the first two drives. Get a turnover on defense the first drive. I think that we're moving in the right direction. We're just not quite there yet. And, the one thing I've been really telling our guys is they got to get better at practice. We have to become a better practice team. And I know Allen Iverson doesn't believe in it, but, I certainly do. And I know that you win the games on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. They're not won on Saturday. And, we haven't had a complete week of practice yet, as far as I'm concerned. We haven't had a real physical Tuesday, a competition Wednesday, and then we go out on Thursday. We go play really fast, and then Friday we clean everything up. We haven't done that yet. So that's part of the process. We're working on it. I think the players have been really great and bought in. They haven't done anything that would ever make me think that they're not ready to go each and every day. They're just mentally, they have to get better at learning how to practice. And I think when you got a young team and this is a cultural change for them, they haven't really had to do that day to day in the past. So I think this is something that we're continuing to work on, and we're hopeful that this is the week that we're going to turn it around. And every week's different, but this one certainly is the next one, so it's the most important one.
Yeah, something that you pointed out was that your offense it's not that they can't move the ball, they're getting in field goal range, that sort of thing. They're just not able to capitalize and actually find the end zone. Why do you think that is that they struggled with that through the first 3 weeks?
Well, I think poor decisions from the quarterback position. I think, we didn't run the ball effectively enough when we get inside the 20, and they wound up putting an extra guy in the box, which is what teams do when you get down inside the 20, and just not execute. We had a touchdown pass dropped on the second drive that was in the end zone. We had, a couple of misreads by the quarterback. We had, a couple breakdowns in protection. I think all those things really just kind of pile up on. We had a penalty on one drive where we got the ball all the way down to the 3-yard line, got a penalty, knocked us out of field goal range. So I think those things are critical to make sure you can clean them up. And, that's probably we have to spend more time in the red zone and on offense and really work on the timing and the execution of our pass game down there. And then, when we get into competitive situations against our own defense down there, we got to learn to run the football.
Got you. One last thing for you. Talking about your offensive line, and you brought in a couple transfers that were there. And, how have you seen them kind of gelling as the season has progressed so far as a unit?
Well, this was the third starting lineup we've had. So we really haven't had a lot of consistency. Our left tackle had COVID past week, so he was out. Our left guard, who was out for the first 2 weeks, came back. We had a guy, Reggie Brooks, that was out for a while. Now he was back last week, so he played a little bit. So we really haven't had, other than Eli Ripley and Knox Boyd, we really haven't had a consistent lineup on the field. I want to see those guys practice. I want to see them play together for more than just 1 week and see if those guys can gel. In the run game this week, we did a really good job. We just struggled in pass pro, and especially when those guys came after us with pressure.
Gotcha. That's all that I've got for you.
Good, thanks.
Just real quick, getting back to Lincoln, if you look at this team, I know you hear a lot of people talk about the fear of a letdown, but when you look at Lincoln's results, they've pretty much been in every game. The scores kind of get separated towards the end of the game, but just this past weekend, against Cal Poly, who's no slouch, they only lost, I think, by just 3 touchdowns. So it was a game where they were in it for the most part. Just talk about how talented a team this is. Most people may think they're a slouch just because they've never heard of them before, but they're not a pushover.
No, they won't be a pushover. They'll be well coached. They'll come in here with a plan, and they're going to have really good players. And they, against Cal Poly, they were executing early in the game on both sides of the ball. Defense was stopping them, getting off the field, had a couple 3-and-outs early in the game, and they kept turning the ball back over to their defense and their offense rather with really good field position, and the offense capitalized. And the quarterback does a good job of extending plays, and they're going to test your coverage discipline, with double moves and things like that, and they're going to get the ball to their playmakers in space. They do a really good job, and I think it's a numbers game for them. They've traveled every game. They haven't played a home game, so I think that obviously wears on your body a little bit, but they do a really good job. I think they're well coached, and I think that they're talented. They got their nickel played at Ohio State, played in the Rose Bowl, played for our defensive coordinator, Coach Chris. So the guy, they got some guys that can play. They got Kansas State transfer. They got some guys.
And I guess one other question for me: that opening drive, the pass that was intercepted, your guys didn't quit, and Andre made a good play, put his helmet on the ball. Here's an offensive guy, goes up and makes a squared up tackle, and actually takes a momentum change of play and flips it right back against South Dakota. Just kind of talk about that.
He did. It's just what we talk about our guys all the time is making sure we get the ball down on the ground if there is ever a turnover, and he did that, and he did an even better job of getting the ball out, and then Major recovered it. So, 2 guys hustling and around the football, and when you're around the football, good things happen. There was a couple times where South Dakota put the ball on the ground and we weren't around the football. We just weren't there. So they recovered it, and I think those could have been game-changing plays, but we got to learn from those things. You learn from those mistakes, and you hope that the next time and we've done that each and every game. We haven't made the same mistakes each game. So I think that's a positive for our players is they're learning from their mistakes and they're moving on and doing great things. So I think we just have to really be patient. I'm not a patient guy, so sometimes that's hard, but I do think our players are listening, and I think they're bringing it out to the field and played much better on special teams, obviously, this week. Even though we had a field goal blocked, it was an amazing play by their guy. Did a great job of splitting a couple defenders and jumping just at the right time. If he's a half a second earlier, half a second late, he doesn't touch the ball, but he did a great job and was able to make that play. But I think overall our special teams played much, much better. Our coverage teams were good, and we just got to continue to improve on that and hopefully win that area of the game this week.
questions, Coach? All right.
Thanks. All right.
Thanks for your time.
Thanks, guys.